Betsy Coulthard. I'm from St Edmunds, Year 7. I would like to start off my video by saying how much art means to me. And I really struggle with dyslexia. So that means English I find really hard. Maths? Ah! Well, most things really. Help! And the one thing that's always been my saviour, my best friend. Their name's Art. Happy. Art has always been there for me, especially in this time in lockdown. I'd never appreciated my best friend more. I started off my art piece digitally on an app called Procreate that my friend Daisy told me about. This part of the process took me about 3 weeks to make. Once I was happy with my digital image, I then used that as a reference point to start my painting. I decided to do a painting because I haven't really done much painting before and I really wanted to challenge myself. I used acrylic paints for most of it, but I also used a bit of pens for doing the finer details, like doing the eyelashes. And now for the artists that I've been inspired by. Firstly, of course, Frida Kahlo. And secondly, an American artist called Richard Day. I really love the way that he uses colour to emphasise his paintings and make it pop. So I really tried to emphasise that look in my painting. I have used lots and lots of symbols in my painting. Pink roses for gentleness and joy. Rainbow for hope and the NHS. Butterflies for freedom. Bubble for isolation. Coronavirus for the pandemic. Bees are for hard work and collaboration. And of course, my dog. She symbolises hope and love and family.
Hello, my name is Alfie from the Abbey School, Faversham. My piece is inspired by Picasso during his blue and rose periods. The blue I feel represents dark, sadness and depression, whereas the rose period represents happiness, light and fullness. Adding examples of these pieces to my mood board enabled me to see how the two moods act against each other. I also experimented using different mediums to get the depth of colour I wanted to express these. I play the trumpet, and throughout lockdown, when I played, I found this lifted not just my spirits, but others as well, especially during last year's VE Day celebrations. I played Don't Sit Under the Apple Tree outside in the garden during the celebratory afternoon tea. This went down a treat with family and neighbours singing along and dancing. My mum also filmed it and sent it to my music tutor, who then shared it with the main band members of our brass band. They fed back how much it had cheered them up. I wanted my piece to represent this and use my trumpet to show how music can push away sadness and darkness. So this is me. I wanted to keep myself black and white in sketch pen to represent that I am the core, but the trumpet and moods to be in colour to demonstrate how powerful music actually is. I used acrylics as an oil paint to get the colour and depth I wanted to achieve. The music notes on my piece are bringing happy, lifting colours, which are pushing away the dark, sad, depressing colours and times. I also wanted to add another medium, which is a piece from a piece of sheet music, to say how music can indeed change moods, especially this piece titled Bring Me Sunshine, which is what I have named my piece, Bring Me Sunshine. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Vera. I'm from Belarus. As a very emotional person, I quite surely am a big romantic, which is undoubtedly reflected in my work. I always try to convey a range of feelings as wide as possible. I'm also very political and passionate about my beliefs. All the major events that happened in the world during the time in lockdown served the main influence and inspiration for the piece. The ones which I felt the strongest about are shown in the background of the work. However, my idea was to not only constitute the facts of what happened, but rather to express my personal reaction and response to all of it. Different sections of the background represent different things. Major events in politics, like protests all over the world from Hong Kong to Belarus to the US. New achievements of science, like the rover that landed on Mars quite recently. The new reality of routine mask wearing and total hygiene, or perhaps things people found consolation in during lockdown, like spending time with family, taking up new hobbies, or going for walks and getting close to nature. My cultural identity as a Belarusian is also an important theme in the piece. The central place in the background is taken up by a section which I like calling a circus, where I've put some political leaders which I don't agree with on a number of points, and the most recent scandals around them: the storm of the Capitol for Trump, the recent investigation into Putin's unbelievable rate of corruption, and of course the former president of Belarus that is currently holding on to power using the repressive force of his government and violence against my fellow Belarusians. Right under the collage that serves as background is the character itself and the object symbol. The composition creates a sense of me being pressed down by the collage, which is exactly what I was going for, since my symbol is a symbol for my shielding from the unsettling of the outside world. Shielding with a cosy blanket of my family's and friends' affection, self-care and practices of mindfulness and meditation. The blanket is supposed to symbolise how I coped with all the stress, as it represents warmth, security, and thanks to the pose, creates a feeling of being cocooned and so safe and protected. When choosing the medium, I thought primarily of how I could make use of it to play with colour, as my goal was to really bring out the blue of the blanket, which itself has a connotation of calmness and serenity. So quite fast I decided on using acrylic paint. To really make that blue pop, I painted the canvas orange, which is a complementary colour to blue, following the example of Day Griffiths. I left some patches of the orange background untouched because it seems to me it created quite a nice contrast. What I found particularly fascinating when working on the piece was the complexity of skin tone. I kept adding in colours like greens or purples, which you might not necessarily think of when considering healthy skin colour, or perhaps they even seem a bit counterintuitive. I had hardly any experience of collage making when I decided to make the background using that technique, but I followed the advice from one of Austin Kleon's books, which was great inspiration to me. A principle of writing a book you want to read, rather than the book you know how to write. Plus, that was invaluable practice. Next time I'm making a collage, I will feel more confident and know what aspects have to be controlled, like the size of the images and how the sections of the collage are to link together. The collage also turned out quite emotionally charged and happy, as all the photographs were already finished pieces of art. All I did was restructure them to create something new. As the French writer André Gide said, everything that needs to be said has already been said, but since no one was listening, everything must be said again. What is interesting about it, however, is the selectivity of this theft. If you steal only what speaks directly to your soul, your work and theft will be authentic. Well, at least that's what I believe. And it does feel very personal to me, as if an insight into what's been going through my head for the last year or so, which I suppose is its main value. It allowed me to explore who I truly am through finding things I actually care about and making those ideas into something physical.
This is my piece to do with the isolation and lockdown during COVID. I really focused on fractured from the world, and this sense of mystery, because you didn't know what was going to happen, if we were going to stay in lockdown for ages or if we were going to be out of lockdown in the next week. For my symbol, I chose a Rubik's Cube. I think that a Rubik's Cube represents puzzle and not knowing how to solve it, and there's only a few people that can solve it. Like,
for lockdown, it was the NHS, the government, and lots of people that were very important. I chose to draw the Rubik's Cube shuffled as if, because everything's fractured, it's kind of, that's why. Because on my mood board, what I did, I drew realistic face to find out the key features and to know what to put in my cartoon. I also looked at some pictures of fractured things, including fractured glass, and I looked at different styles of faces and different hairstyles, which I only had 2 because I don't really change my hair. And I tried lots of different Rubik's Cube things. So one I'm holding a Rubik's Cube, one in colour and a pencil drawing. I wanted to draw a cartoon kind of style as I usually draw because I find that the most fun.
Hi, my name is Honey Barnett and I am a Year 7 pupil at St Lawrence College. I was really pleased when I was asked to be one of the people to represent my school for this project. The artist that gave me the inspiration I had for this portrait was Salvador Dali, because I really like the style he used for his art. I think all of his pieces are unique but surreal, and they're all very different, not being different colours or maybe no colours at all. When the project was released, being Symbolism Self-Portrait, showing our time through lockdown, I hadn't really heard of that before, so I started looking online for some inspiration and I found some really amazing ideas. One of my favourite ideas was a woman with all objects coming out of her head, but herself and all around her were black and white, and the only colours were the things coming out of her head. This made me think that I should represent COVID as the dark colours, and the other sides being the things that helped me through lockdown, and that would be all the bright colours. The symbol I used was a dancer, because I, during lockdown, did dance on Zoom, and that really helped seeing other people to keep a good mental well-being. The idea that gave me to do the dark colours for COVID was that I could imagine people feeling lonely, trapped and bored. My portrait represents how the world was scared and fearful during COVID, and to help me remember the things I missed was dancing on Zoom with all my friends. The message I have to put into this final piece is that even when things are hard, still keep your head up high and do the things that make you happy.
Hi, my name's George Blunt. I decided on a boat as my symbol for the final piece, and the small person pulling up the anchor is me. I chose a boat because almost every day me and my brother went down to the boatyard in Faversham, and this battered old wooden boat was one of my favourites, so I wanted to do that. I also wanted to make the picture look bleak, so I used black charcoal. There's only the boat and me and an anchor, no other symbols, and I put them on mud flats all to make it look more bleak. I looked at artists like Turner and Rembrandt for the skies and use of dark and light. I thought that lifting the anchor could represent that if we all did something small together, we could get bigger things moving. Goodbye.
Hello, my name is Clara Taylor and I go to St Edmund's School in Canterbury. I have been inspired by Frida Kahlo and an Instagram artist. The Instagram artist has really inspired me by creating art looks with red wine and creating different effects, also mixing it with watercolours. I've also always been inspired by Frida Kahlo because I've always loved her portraits, and I love the way that all her portraits and drawings tell a story and all have animals or something interesting, and I love all the colours and everything's going on. My symbols that I have chosen are special effects makeup, pencils and a scrunchie. I chose the scrunchie because every day of lockdown, when I was in school doing a makeup look or going out for a walk, I always wore the scrunchie, and it helped create different types of art with outfits and design. I also chose the pencils because I've been creating a lot of artwork over lockdown and loads of drawings and pieces for my friends and family, and that's really connected me with the outside world, and they've also helped me keep my hair up. I also chose the makeup, the special effects makeup, because during lockdown I have been creating lots of different looks and trying out different types of art on makeup and trying out different types of creations. It also connects me to the outside world because I've been using Instagram to post my drawings and makeup and art on Instagram, so that has really connected me. I've used a different range of mediums. I've used special effects makeup to create different types of artwork and different levels on the paper and try to bring it to life. I've also used pencil to create the portrait and photo collage from my makeup looks to try and design it a bit more.
Hi there, I'm Harry Gove from St Anselm School, and this is my self-portrait named Becoming Invisible. The blank expression on my face represents me feeling invisible because I wasn't allowed to put my camera on in remote lessons. I made myself rooted to nature because of how lockdown allowed me to explore the outside world. So I experimented with the idea of roots and flowers as my symbols, and even put flowers into the collage behind. The pixels on my body represents the amount of screens that I've been looking at, and really made me realise how many I was. I made myself in my mind, and all the blocks of collage represent the different symbols, the different thoughts going through my mind. This collage is inspired by the 20th century collage German artist Kurt Schwitters. I did a few sketches and trials of some of the symbols that I could have done. One with a loading symbol in my eye, and one of me literally being sick of online lessons. Lastly, I want to say thank you to all of you, and it's been a real pleasure doing this project, and I wish the best of luck to everyone taking part.
Hi, my name's Anna and I go to St Lawrence College in Ramsgate. For the Our Shared Isolation project, I drew a portrait of myself on my phone. I chose to do this because during lockdown, my phone was the only thing that could keep me connected to the world, so it was a big part of my life. Without it, I would have really struggled. In my portrait, you can also see me looking bored and sad. I wanted to add this because it symbolises some of the emotions I felt during lockdown. I chose to do this artwork as a pencil drawing because I didn't want it to have colour. For me, isolation wasn't as enjoyable than being able to go out, so it felt like a less colourful time in comparison to the rest of my life. I didn't go over it and perfect it with a pen because I wanted it to be raw and imperfect. As you can see, behind me in the drawing, I wrote the word trapped. During isolation, we were all trapped at home, so I wanted to add that as a symbol of the situation going on around us. Thank you for watching.
Hello, I'm Jessica Ditton and I go to the Abbey School. My symbols of flower encouraged me to spend a lot of time outside in the countryside and around our house. As a family, we went on long walks nearly every day during lockdown, and it was the ever-changing beauty of nature that made me want to pick the mysterious walk. To reach the woods, I first had to walk across fields of wildflowers, and this is where the mystery started for me. Overnight, the predominant colour of the flowers changed from blues and lilacs one day to pale yellows and creams the next. I took a sketchpad and coloured pencils with me to capture the colours, and one morning the whole field was transformed into a carpet of vivid yellow. I knew then what I wanted to paint. The mystery of nature deepened for me as I carried on into the heart of the surrounding woods. I know the woods are full of life, animals, insects and reptiles, but they go unseen unless they chose to show themselves. The trees, some hundreds of years old, came from tiny beginnings to become the majestic, towering things they are today. Again, the mystery of nature. The artist that most inspires me is Monet. I love the impressions and shapes in his work. I especially like the walk and the poppies. I used mixed media for my painting: acrylic paints, alcohol markers and Crayola pencils. I am very happy and proud to have been chosen to enter this competition. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Claudia. I live by the sea in Broadstairs. I'm in Year 7 at St Lawrence College. My portrait is called My Favourite Focus. It is set at home where we have all spent a lot of time. I have been influenced by art pieces that have been painted on newspaper, which I thought was relevant to COVID times. Another influence is from a local artist called Margot Margate. I just love her work. It is so simple and bold. I have used a newspaper background on canvas using acrylic paints, pencil and watercolours. The main symbols in my portrait relate to art itself. In the picture I am surrounded by the news and headlines as art helped me to focus. I also learned to play chess with my mum, which is referred to in my portrait. The portrait shows me painting in style of Margot Margate. My mobile phone is shown resting on the easel. I have drawn an eye on the screen to show how important my phone was to keep me connected to my friends and family. The eye shows how important vision is in lockdown. This is my ideas board that helped me compose the picture. I have really enjoyed painting this portrait. It's a great way to capture this important time in my life. Hope you enjoy looking at it. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
Hi, my name is Tara Perling. So my symbol has been sort of art materials and painting, and how I've been keeping busy and trying to do as much art as possible at home whilst in lockdown. In the window, the general idea is to have clouds in the background, and they will sort of be more of a yellowy, pinky colour to represent sort of positivity and the silver linings of COVID, and that is what the window represents in this painting, like the hope. And then coming through the middle of the window will be a rainbow to show like the NHS and when people were putting sort of rainbows up in their windows and that sort of thing. And then for the self-portrait itself, I have done a sketch of a painting by William Oxer, and this pose that is shown in this painting has sort of inspired me on how I was going to pose myself in the picture for the self-portrait. Here's an example, like a practice painting that I have done, and the painting is sort of facing up towards the window to show trying to keep positive and trying to stay hopeful during COVID. And then behind the self-portrait will sort of be this blossomy technique coming out from behind the self-portrait to show sort of like the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions that COVID has brought to people. And then to the right, on the right hand side of the canvas, it'll mainly be sort of just dark colours, Prussian blues, burnt umbers, just to show like the hard times and the difficulty that COVID has brought. And so I've done a basic colour scheme, and yeah, that's my overall presentation. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Joe from St Edmund's School in Canterbury. I was inspired by Edvard Munch. Edvard painted the famous painting, The Screen. It signifies how I felt in lockdown sometimes. I like the use of colour, of the blood red tones, of the sky, and then the swirling deep blue sea. I was also inspired by my love of geography and world flags. My lockdown symbol is my laptop. It has kept me connected to the world and my friends and allowed me to do remote learning. It has also given me lots of time to play online games in my spare time, which I have had a lot of. The other symbol I've included is my dog Bobby. He has made me feel very safe and happy. He has a warm presence and is very, very soft. Warm and cuddly. Bobby has helped me emotionally and kept me sane during these difficult times. In my final piece, I've placed myself with Bobby within the computer screen. I think it is a powerful image of how many people and the world have viewed me and many others through lockdown. I'm holding Bobby as he has been my main source of comfort. I've also replicated the background of the screen as the red-blood sky and the swirling blue sea represents feelings of anxiety and worry that I have felt during lockdown. I use the world map of flags as the background to represent my love and fascination of the world and cities, and also to represent that the coronavirus is lurking in all corners of the globe. I've looked at this world map behind me every day since I was little, and I've had a lot more time to study it in depth every day during lockdown, so it has become a big part of me. I used a mix of mediums in my final piece. The main medium used was oil pastels, blended with some white spirit on a brush, which gives an effect of oil paintings without all the fuss. I like the way the white spirit allows you to make swirling brushstrokes, which isn't so easy with just pastels as it blends the colours well. I decided not to put laptop keys into the picture, as I felt that this would detract from the main message I'm trying to convey. I also used watercolour pencils for some of the more intricate flag details. I then outlined the borders and laptop in permanent marker to give the definition. The name that I have given my final piece is How I See the World in Isolation. I would also like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to be part of the East Kent Schools Shared Isolation project. I've enjoyed it very much. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Oliwia Wojcińska, a year 8 from St. Anselm's Schools in Canterbury, and I am from Poland. I portray myself as a creative and curious person with lots of ideas always bubbling inside my head. My portrait explores my inner world. It is also about my beauty of an introvert. My portrait is an open window into an introvert, a rational thinker, and most probably too old for my age. My portrait says what I can't see myself in words. Therefore, the center of the work is placed on the mouth. I was inspired by the Vitruvian May. This work sparked the idea of multiple things representing me, but coming out of my mouth, speaking for me. There's no specific set. It's an illusion. Time does not exist. I have also chosen the colors to be green and blue, as there was a question in one of the videos, if lockdown was a color. And the first thing that came up to my mind was blue and green mixing with each other. I've only used watercolors. I was influenced by the painting called The Therapist, made by René Margit, as well as a Polish artist named Anna Mickiewicz. I've enjoyed painting my face, because it was something new for me, as I never used watercolors for painting skin, and I also never used them on a canvas. I think I would like to develop my technique to capture details like a camera. I would like my portrait to convey that there's so much more than meets the eye. Even though lots of people are not ready to talk about it, talk about themselves, especially in a lockdown. That's why I have decided to call my painting Locked Up Universe. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Megan and I'm from the Abbey School. My lockdown symbol is Jesus. I'm a Christian and have been for all of my life. I feel like Jesus has just always been there, and just the knowing that he's been with me throughout this lockdown experience, just the knowing that he has been and always will be there with me through this challenging time. The artist who has inspired me through this project is David J. Negron. He is a Christian like me and focuses his artwork on Christian-based pictures. This includes my focus piece of a girl inside her bedroom praying to the Lord saying, "Where are you?" And that's, I think, it shows me thinking that where is God over lockdown as well. And it's called "Where Are You?" I've created a piece depicting me and Jesus. My choice of background is significant, which of something that calms me down, and whenever I see it, it just makes me smile. And that's a Shepherd's Delight sky. I've used oil pastels to create the evening sky, and as for the rest of it, I've used green colouring pencils to do the grass. I've used a cotton bud to merge the colours of the evening sky together, and I think it's created the lock of clouds as well. I've left me and Jesus uncoloured, as I think it makes us stand out, and that's important because Jesus is my lockdown symbol. The name I've given my piece is Internally With Me. This just summarises my lockdown perfectly in 3 words. Thank you so much for running this art collaboration. It's put a lot of joy into my lockdown life. Thank you. Goodbye.
I'm Lola Saunders. I go to St Edmund's School. I'm in Year 7, and my favourite symbol on my art project is my dog Ben, because he's my best friend and he's my play buddy, and I would be so bored without him, and I really love him. And some other symbols I put on my art project were a chakra, because I started yoga for the first time, and I really like it because I want to be ready when I go back to ballet and dance. I put a medical sign symbol because I want to become a doctor when I'm older, because I want to help people. And I also put some sports symbols like a basketball and a hockey stick, because I love to play basketball, and I've got a basketball hoop, and I really like practicing and learning more tricks with my dad, and I've got much better at it because I've had a lot of time to practice. Also, hockey is one of my favourite sports. It always has been my favourite sport. And the field. Foxes. Oh, the foxes. The foxes are outside our gate at night, and they kind of cry for the food, and my mum gives them food every night, and I love them because they're so beautiful and they're so cool that they come back every time. And I looked from the window and there's 3. There was 1 and now there's 3. So lockdown has been hard, but it's also been good because I've learned all of these new symbols on my art project. Thank you, bye.
My name's Annabelle Burns, and this is the presentation for my preparation board for the Our Shared Isolation project. For my main piece, I didn't just choose one symbol, I chose many. For example, I chose skincare, as self-care was a really important part of my lockdown journey. For starting off my day with skincare and ending it with skincare was a great start to being productive, as that was my main goal. Another symbol was the background to my main piece, which was yellow and with watercolour. When I think of my summer lockdown, I think of the sun and it being all happy, as yellow is a very happy colour. I chose watercolour as I went almost every day swimming. The reason why I chose to do 3 heads, not just 1, was because it shows the stages of my day. So the first one would be me in the morning, the second one would be me in the middle of the day, the last one me doing my skincare. Also, the 3 heads symbolise the 3 lockdown. Last two symbols of my preparation board was my puppy, as she was of course a lockdown puppy and helped me cope throughout the boredom. Last and final symbol was of course my phone, as it helped me stay in contact with my friends and it felt almost like the real world, FaceTiming them. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed.
Hello, my name is Sophie King and I go to Snowdon School, and I'd like to show you my final piece of my shared isolation project. My phone was my main way of being able to connect with the outside world. It helped me to stay in contact with my friends and let me know that I'm not the only one feeling isolated at home. I got the bubble idea from the fact that we've had to stay in our own bubbles. I also felt that while we were in our own bubbles, we were disconnected from the outside world. We could see it, but not touch it. Being in my bubble also gave me the sense of loneliness and being trapped. I couldn't wait until I could finally burst out of my bubble. I've included some trees and nature. I live in the countryside, and the only time I saw the outside was a daily walk to see the nature. I enjoyed doing my sessions for the shared isolation. I think it helped me to create new ideas and to reflect on my lonely times.
Hello, my name is Olivia Lee Hunt. I'm in Year 7 at St Lawrence College, Ramsgate. I live by the sea near Broadstairs with my mum, her boyfriend Aaron, my sister Martha, and our 3 guinea pigs. My portrait is about how important The Lord of the Rings was to me throughout lockdown. The book has lots of detailed maps, characters, and is told over a long time. I found I could lose myself in the world of Middle-earth. The film, artwork, music, all relating to Tolkien's book, have helped me occupy myself over the past year. My portrait is done in acrylic, which is my favourite paint. I used tracing paper and ink to recreate the map, and I made this look old by lightly brushing over the tracing paper with yellow ochre. I particularly enjoyed making the map. I would like to draw some of the places in Middle-earth, like Minas Tirith, using perspective. I watched a TV programme about Tolkien's life and learned that he didn't like modern things and felt that they were destroying nature. I completely agreed with this. During lockdown, I spent so much time on laptops, Zoom, Teams. The Wi-Fi connection was always down and I didn't think I was learning very much. I learned more from reading books. It was very interesting to learn about Tolkien and Rose, Lord of the Rings. The dark themes of the book reminded me of all the media stories about COVID, and I liked the way he created an imaginary world away from everything.
Hello, my name is Joseph Hawkes and I go to St Anselm's Catholic School. Some artists who have inspired my work are my granny, Patricia Hawkes, her sister, Victoria Fontaine-Wolfe, and Frida Kahlo. The name of my piece is My Life on Screen because I spent a lot of the past year on my laptop doing work. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Hello, my name is Judy. I was in China for most of the lockdown. I quarantined twice. The perfume bottle with a head on it basically is a representation of me. There is only one single object in the whole painting. So here the bottle represents isolation. My work was originally inspired by a perfume bottle. I just thought the shape was good and, it's round but not exactly round. It's angular but not all angular, so I thought it was a really good representation of me. The perfume bottle was to represent the room that I was in while in quarantine. So it was a small hotel room, and the water also means, liquids. They take the shape of its container, so it just represents doing what I could do under circumstances, really.